The recent increase in Pyongyang's ballistic missile testing has raised tension throughout the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. We continue to seek the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And let me emphasize that the United States has absolutely no hostile intent toward the DPRK. We're open to dialogue without preconditions. We want to support the people of North Korea, including with COVID-19 vaccines. Indeed, we have offered our help consistently throughout the pandemic and again during the awful surge that they are now enduring, which comes on top of severe economic and humanitarian crises. Our goal, simply put, is a peaceful and stable region and world. Until the regime in Pyongyang changes course, we will continue to keep the pressure on. I can say simply for today that we're preparing for all contingencies, again, in very close coordination with others, notably with the ROK and with Japan. And we are prepared to make both short and longer term adjustments to our military posture as appropriate. A nuclear test would be dangerous. It would be deeply destabilizing.
Britain will be sending its first flight of asylum seekers to Rwanda on Tuesday after judges threw out last-ditch attempts by campaigners to stop the plan.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
As part of a near $150 million deal, Britain will send to Rwanda some migrants who arrived illegally from Europe by crossing the channel in small boats. Britain's Conservative government says the deportations will help stop the flow of migrants and deal a blow to people smuggling networks. On Monday, the UN's High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, slammed the policy.
The UK says, we do this to save people from dangerous journeys. Let me doubt that a little bit. Saving people from dangerous journeys is great, is absolutely great. But is that the right way to do it? Is that the real motivation for this deal to happen? I don't think so.
On Friday, a High Court judge refused to grant an injunction to block the flight. That decision was upheld Monday by 3 justices on the Court of Appeal. A second legal challenge at the High Court was also rejected, with the judge noting that everyone had been given access to a lawyer to challenge their deportation. Initially, some 37 individuals were to be removed on the first flight, but charity Care for Calais said that number has dwindled to just 8. 3 more individuals will have their cases heard on Tuesday morning. A full hearing to determine the legality of the policy as a whole is due in July.
Right now.
I told him that the stuff that his people were shoveling out to the public was bullshit. That the claims of fraud were bullshit.
In the wake of the 2020 U.S. election, top advisors to then-President Donald Trump told him again and again that his claims of widespread election fraud were unfounded and would not reverse his election loss. But he refused to listen.
He was indignant about that.
That's according to testimony from former campaign officials and even former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, presented Monday at the second of a series of public hearings from the committee investigating the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol.
This morning, we'll tell the story of how Donald Trump lost an election and knew he lost an election, and as a result of his loss, decided to wage an attack on our democracy.
In video from a deposition, Barr recalled his feeling at being unable to persuade the president of the facts of his defeat.
I was somewhat demoralized because I thought, boy, if he really believes this stuff, he has, lost contact he's become detached from reality.
Trump would also overrule the advice of his campaign manager, Bill Stepien.
My recommendation was to say that votes were still being counted. It's too early to tell.
He said that on election night 2020, he told the president the results were going to take weeks to finalize.
I always told the president the truth.
But Trump appears to have preferred the election night counsel of former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani.
Spoke to the president several times that night.
Who witnesses recalled being intoxicated.
Is there anyone in that conversation who, in your observation, had too much to drink?
Like Mayor Giuliani.
And the president would continue to heed Giuliani and others and dismiss the guidance from his campaign attorneys.
We called them kind of my team and Rudy's team. I didn't mind being characterized as being part of Team Normal.
What they were proposing, I thought was nuts.
Former White House attorney Eric Hirschman recalled the increasingly bizarre and global conspiracy theories favored by Trump.
Different things have been floating around as to who was involved. Remember Hugo Chavez and the Venezuelan. She has an affidavit from somebody who says they wrote a software in, it's something with the Philippines, and just all over the radar.
And the president was as mad as I've ever seen him, and he was trying to control himself.
A key focus of Trump's fury fell on his own Justice Department and its leader, Bill Barr, who, to the president's rage, told him plainly that the claims of fraud were without merit.
When I went into this and would, tell him how crazy some of these allegations were, there was never an indication of interest in what the actual facts were. In my opinion then, and my opinion now, is that the election was not stolen by fraud.
The January 6th committee also tried to shine a light on how Trump used false election claims to fundraise, telling donors their dollars, which would flow into the hundreds of millions, would fight non-existent election fraud.
So not only was there the big lie, there was the big ripoff.
Trump has denied wrongdoing and has repeatedly insisted that he did not lose the election, dismissing the Select Committee investigation as a political witch hunt.
On the gun framework that was announced over the weekend, can you talk a little bit about what specifics the White House would like to see as the lawmakers sit down and try to turn this into a bill? Specifics on what you want regarding access to juvenile records, red flag laws, and redefining which gun sellers now have to do expanded background checks.
Well, as you know, the text is now going to be written, so we're going to allow the negotiators to go through that process. What we do believe and what the president has said is this is a historic agreement, and it's the most significant legislation that we have seen to reduce gun violence since more than 20 years. And so it's a bipartisan. The president is pleased to see this as a step forward. As we know, this is about saving lives. And so the president is going to wants to see Congress act. He wants to see this on his desk as quickly as possible, and that's going to be our focus. Now, does this framework has everything that the president wants, or that everything that the president has called for? It does not, and the president's going to continue to fight for the renew our ban on assault weapons, for making sure that we confirm Steve Dettelbach to lead ATF, right, which is something that we believe is going to happen, and so expanding background checks to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. So there are things that he wants to continue to see done, but again, this is about saving lives, and this is what's important right now, and this is a step towards that direction.